Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. How many of you play football at a high enough level where you went over film, right? Usually when you're younger, no matter where you are at in the world, film either, you don't do it at all or you do very little, right? But as you get older, you start breaking down everything and it really does help. So what we're going to do today is go over some of the best attacking plays. Some just mediocre, but just attacking plays that lead to goals. And we're going to look at exactly how we created that goal, because here we play great football. And a lot of these goals get overlooked, especially when you have players that maybe didn't play the game at the highest level, or players that don't understand the connection between how you learn as a real footballer at the higher levels and playing at the highest levels here in eFootball. There is a ton of correlations, including training and putting the time in to study over your gameplay, right? AKA breaking down film. So let's get into it and let's improve one step at a time. Getting right into it, the first thing I want you to look at isn't even our team. We're in the red, but I want you to notice the opponent's shape here, right? It's beautiful build-up, straight to feet all the way up the field, culminating in a 1-2 and a finish. And it worked out because, for one, I noticed that out wide, I had the availability to get around the midfield block, right? Then I noticed there's a huge gap between the midfield and the defense. So as my players are making the long run, since this is long ball counter, I then do as I normally do and play a pass, but super cancel using R1, R2, call my player 2 so I receive the ball to feet, and then repeated that pass, super cancel, call 2, right? So then I play defeat, and I do it again for the 1-2 and the finish, right? The only time I didn't use a super cancel to call to the player 2 to receive defeat was on this layoff for the one-time finish. This is a beautiful goal. This is what makes eFootball such a good, such a true to football game, right? And when these type of plays go off, it is the most satisfying feeling. And it's not as hard as people think. You just have to start breaking down your opponent, understanding your movement, their movement, and then executing the right passes and finishing the ball off. It's as simple as that, and you get better as you work on it. Now, you notice that finish ended with a 1-2, right? To do a 1-2, you simply hold L1 when you make a pass, and that player you make that pass with will start running forward. They'll make an attacking run, and then you can either play that player directly, you can play a pass to another player as that player continues that run from triggering it with that L1 pass, and then play them later on, or they can just be a dummy runner who you never play to. You just use them to draw your opponent's attention away while you pass elsewhere. No matter how you utilize it, playing the player or not, having that L1 pass, right, the 1-2 pass, we'll call it, even if you don't do a 1-2, it's a super important tool that you need to use because it will help you greatly in your build-up. And you see here another 1-2 goal, right? It wasn't a direct finish, but it led to that rebound goal all the way from the midfield where we started our build-up. We played essentially 1-2 passes and cut up the opponent. Now, recognizing why this worked, there wasn't a gap between the opponent's backline and midfield like in the first goal, right, when we went around them, around that midfield block, but there was a gap between them because they were spread further across the field. So we cut them up like Swiss cheese, playing through the middle of them, right, in between them, right up to scoring a goal. All because we recognized what passes we needed to make, executed them, and then finished the ball off. Now, this next goal I want to use as an example. When I use super cancel, the player isn't just automatically coming to, right? That's not what super cancel does. I am using super cancel to then take over that player, right? Take over the player from his AI run where he's running away, because that's what the long ball counter makes these players do. They're making runs away, right? So when I super cancel, I can call the player 2. When I do that, right, I can then receive the ball to feet. But you can use super cancel and do any direction of a run you want with the player. You can even continue their run, just tweak the direction a bit. I just utilize it, as you see, to call players 2 and then continue my buildup. You see here, I use it to call player 2, created just a little bit of space, and then I was able to turn, right? Because I recognized the striker who had the ball was great on the dribble. I did a quick turn and finished the ball off. So just know, you don't just press super cancel and the player automatically comes to, but really what super cancel does is allow you to move the player where you want. You see there, I moved the player towards the ball to the side, not directly back from where the pass came from. That's just typically how I utilize it, but there are a variety of different ways. You just need to know when the ball's played and your player's not going to receive it where you want your player to, you can press super cancel and then move your player towards the pass. The one thing I'll say is make sure as soon as you make the pass, you immediately press super cancel. If you wait too long, it will not trigger and your player will continue the AI run they're on. That's the part of this game that people need to understand, is that the AI has a big part. You see here, that play by Suarez, that little pullback he had, all I did was pull the directional button back because I recognized the passing lane wasn't on unless I did that. His animation right there to pull the ball back was based on his player ID, right? That finish, that acrobatic finish by Kohler there, was based on his player ID. So another part of this game is just learning the players you have and how they perform on the pitch. Every player performs differently. Every player has a different set of skills, which you can see what skills they have. You start to learn them. You start to see how they work on the pitch. And that's the beauty of how Konami uses AI. Now, I hate how they go into overdrive with it and take away your decisions, right? What should be your decisions to create a skill gap. But this part of AI where the players do different things based on who they are as a player, based on their skills that they have that you add to them as well. You can add up to 5 skills. That part is absolutely brilliant. And as you learn how these players perform, you will do even better on the pitch. As a very obvious example, King Kohler's open for a cross, you cross it to him because not only do you know he's a beast in the air, but you know he also has bullet header to make those sharp headers and acrobatic finishing to score beauties like this. When you get the ball to Messi's feet, right, what do you know about Messi? He loves to cut into his left, and he has a beautiful curling shot. So when you see an opportunity to utilize those tools, you pounce on it and you score goals. So you have the observation part, right, where you recognize your opponent, their shape, where you can exploit them, where they're weak, where they're strong. And then based on how your team's set up, you break them down. Connecting passes, executing until you can take a shot and finish the ball off. But then you have the element that is unique to eFootball. No other football game has it, and that's why one of the many reasons why I love eFootball, right? The good part of the AI, which is how your players perform, like we talked about with Messi. Each player has the true movement to their real-life counterparts, right? Both the current superstars and these legendary players. Then they have the skill sets, many of which they had in real life, right? Staying true to that. But you also have the ability to add 5 additional skills to make these players perform even better on the pitch. And that's where your knowledge of what they need comes into play, because you want to keep selecting skills, right? Because you can delete ones you don't want, then add more. You can do legacy transfer to make sure they get the exact skills you want. And you can add up to 5 that make these players perform even better, give them more capabilities on the pitch. And that's not all, because you have the individual play style, which works alongside your team play style to dictate each individual player's movement. So you must recognize how these players are moving in the game, right? And see if their individual play style is working for your team system or if it's not working. If it's not working, you have to see if there's a way you can turn that play style off. And if you want more information on that, I did a video in the past on player movement that breaks this down in detail, which is very important. So all of these things combined will dictate how well you perform on the pitch. And therefore, being able to recognize these things when you watch your gameplay back, right, and see what's working, what's not, will only help you improve. Being able to recognize these things while you're playing will help you succeed, right? Being able to make these decisions quickly, understand what your players are capable of quickly in the moment, right? You will only improve as you learn all these things. That is the combined beauty of eFootball that makes it unique to any other football game. So that is why it's so frustrating that Konami decided to put so much AI assistance in areas they shouldn't have, because where they utilize AI correctly, it was brilliant, right? So all we can do is keep learning the things that we can learn to improve as players, right? To be the best we can be at eFootball. Go out and play the game the right way, how it should be played, and allow our skill to prevail over the spammers, right? Over the exploiters, over all of these players that utilize AI because they don't want to make their own decisions, right? They utilize AI in a negative way. Even if Konami allows them to, it doesn't make it right. So simply get out and have fun playing. Learn how to break down your gameplay so that you can improve, and then keep grinding. That's all there is to it. Keep having fun as always, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.